College in the United States, a dream for the less well-off, a rite of passage for America's middle-class and upper-class kids. For millions of Americans, though, the dream has turned into a financial nightmare. While salaries stagnate, the price of a college degree is going up steadily, as are the loans to pay for it all. New recruits are needed, and it's the students themselves who sell the product on campus to the prospective buyer.
Something I'd like to mention is on the first floor we have Footnotes Cafe. So these are a couple of the cafes we have. There's actually a full functioning Starbucks in there. So if you need a quick pick-me-up, you can always go in there. Something else I'd like to mention is on the second floor, if you forget your laptop, forget your charger, you don't have to walk all the way back.
Part of these tours is really to get people excited about coming here. What you most likely will not mention is the cost of it. A lot of these people are probably in-state. They are not going to consider the cost of coming here and spending the money on books. I mean, I've spent upwards of $1,000 on textbooks. It's just not going to even register to them how much money they're going to be spending ultimately.
A few months after the end of her academic career, Nina denounces a system of which she says she's a victim. The diploma was supposed to open the gilded doors to a career that hasn't materialized. The best 4 years of this young American life may have happened in an idyllic setting, but they did not come cheap.
I've spent over $129,000 on my tuition, not including the textbooks, not including the time, not including the energy, not including the jobs that I had to take. And I don't know if I do it all over again. It's a lot of money. I love my university, but I can't afford it.
In the state of North Carolina, the Constitution says that an education should be free as practicable. That leaves a lot of room for interpretation, and college is definitely not free here. At the University of North Carolina in Asheville, UNCA, the Financial Aid Office is a fixture like on every American college campus. The price of an education here stands at over $120,000 for out-of-state students. That's more or less the national average.
So for some of your friends that have received financial aid, have they given you personal stories about how that has impacted their experience here at UNC Asheville, or afforded them the opportunity to be able to come here if they wouldn't have been able to come here otherwise?
Definitely very grateful to have the opportunity to be able to come here.
For many, student debt begins here. If the parents can't pay for their education, a loan will be the next step, always with the added interest payments.
It's a daunting investment, but you can guarantee that it's a good one.
I think so. I absolutely think that it's an excellent investment.
And back to my question, how do you measure that?
You're going to have to help me with that one. Because I'm not sure how the institution as a whole, I know how admissions sells it, which is probably very different than how
the press minder who sits in on this interview does not have the answer either. This uncertainty doesn't seem to affect Gray Barrett. He is the model student the university has chosen to be our guide.
Beautiful place. It's a beautiful place to be. There's lots of great music, lots of great people. It's a great atmosphere and a good place to be a student. We have, a gym, pool, nice library, as you can see, great classrooms, open space, good places to study, to think, to socialize. So that's, it's part of what you pay for, and I think that's a really, really valuable part of what you get.
Gray forgets to mention, though, that he, coincidentally, pays nothing, not a single dollar. He's one of the lucky few winners of the grand prize of full scholarship. It's enough to put a smile on the face of any student. Gray happily shows us the complete package on offer at his college.
All right, so this is the Laurel Forum. It's a nice area for studying. We have presentations, talks here on a weekly basis. It's got a nice fireplace you can sit by when the weather's nice and cold like this. We do yoga sessions in here. We screen debates. We have informal talks by professors, students.
Gray is an exception. Like 70% of all American university students, David Augustine took out loans to pay for his business studies. The result was a lot of debt owed to Sallie Mae, the company that provides student loans. The man now known as D1 became a full-time rapper. Success brought money and the chance to pay off all of his loans. He paid Sallie Mae back.
To pay for books, so I took out loans to feed the boy. Graduated, wasn't making quite enough to pay him back. Went in default, messed my credit up, check my Equifax.
The video has since gone viral. D1 says that student debt isn't black, white, or Hispanic. He says it's a nationwide problem.
I represent millions of people who have attended college, whether they graduated or not, but whose family wasn't rich enough to pay for their complete college education. So they had to take out student loans. I represent my whole generation. I represent everyone who's working a job right now and who's barely making enough to pay their bills and still pay back their student loan debt.
That's a situation Nina knows all too well. She still lives at home with her mother. Several small jobs keep Nina afloat for now. The current one pays $12 an hour. That's not enough to pay back $1,200 a month in student loans. She's not the only one in debt in this household. Her mother, too, is still weighed down by student debt. So much so that this house literally crumbled under the weight of their debt. Together, they owe $150,000.
So when I first saw the crack, I could have had someone out here to tell me exactly what was wrong, and we probably could have fixed it or even just simply bought a better house, if it weren't for the loans. And it's a constant struggle.
Nina's mother says state governments prefer to see education as a commodity rather than as a public service. For her, this is a calculated political policy which has led to the privatization and rising cost of universities in the United States.
How does that happen? It's not like Maryland is all of a sudden unable to meet those accommodations or not wanting to provide services to students for the long haul. This is the future. These kids are the future for the state. It's because we should have tax breaks for the wealthy. And that's what our governor did. So yeah, it's horribly unfair. It hurts students from middle income and low income the most.
At the University of North Carolina, Gray is about to graduate in political science and is convinced his diploma from a prestigious American university will open those doors to a job.
He was almost deposed because the Soviet forces thought that this was the end for the Soviet Union, which it ultimately was.
Contrary to most of his classmates, student debt is not constantly on his mind. He does, though, have an opinion on the crucial conundrum: is it worth it? Is a college degree worth the money?
I think there's a lot of societal pressure to make people go to college, whether that's from the community, whether that's on a familial basis or whatever. There's a lot of pressure pushing people into college, which I think for a lot of people is a good investment, but it's not for everyone.
Hope this email ain't wrong. It say congratulations on paying back your student loans. I took a screenshot.
University was never supposed to be D1's destiny, but it was a choice he made, and one that allowed him to escape the neighborhood he grew up in. D1 is convinced that a college degree, despite its expense, is worth the effort, especially for those who come from a tough area like his.
You good?
What's up?
I'm good, brother. You all right?
Yeah, been doing fine, D, man.
It's almost like they don't want us to know that. It's like they'll put a basketball in your hand real quick. You know what I'm saying? They'll put a microphone in your hand and put an instrumental on real quick. But I knew that the main weapon I had, it wasn't a gun, it wasn't a basketball, it was what's up here, it was my brain. So I knew I wanted to be one of the only people from around here to make it out because of my education.
D1 likes returning to his old stomping grounds where the adventure began.
DU, this is exactly where we shot the video at, man. Like, I ran through this field, I had everyone with me when, like, in slow motion when we were like all joyous and excited about paying off our student loans. We ran right through this field.
Student debt in the United States now stands at over $1 trillion, and it's going up to the tune of $2,700 per second.
Where y'all at with it right now? Like, how much does that weigh into y'all train of thought in terms of like, dang, it's costing this much to go to school. Is this gonna be worth it? Am I gonna be able to find a job? Is that even on your mind? Or right now it's like, man, do whatever, take out loans, whatever I gotta do. Are y'all taking out loans?
Yeah, so.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So everybody sitting next to me taking out loans.
I'm actually a film major, so a lot of my family members are like, you know, you shouldn't go to college for film. You should think about law school after. So I'm in the mindset of, you know, in the industry that I'm in, hopefully I make enough money to pay it off early on and not have to worry about it. Because for a lot of people, they're going to be paying it back for, what, 50 years, 40 years?
The rapper now takes his song to university campuses around the country. Each time it touches a nerve, there are 40 million Americans who still haven't paid back their student debt, contrary to D1. His hymn to finally, one day, paying it back has become the anthem of a generation.
I finished